didn't do so well in the answer.
Yeah, but there was a distrust. Don't get me wrong. Every day you would hear about the X number of soldiers that would die, and it was really rough to hear that.
See, I was totally against the Vietnam War to begin with. I thought we shouldn't even be down there, you know?
It was terrible. It was terrible. We should have never got into it. It was a war that couldn't be won. It was a waste and a disgrace. A waste of time, money, everything's life. And when the soldiers got back, they got ridiculed. They got ridiculed for being in Vietnam. And when the soldiers walked the streets, they got spat at. My brother, he was a medic. And when he got back, he lost a little bit of sanity. Yeah, it was not well at all.
The Vietnam War, it did affect my daily life. My brother was killed, so it affected me a great deal. I learned some years later that people felt that it was a senseless war that we should have never gotten into in the first place. I was never really clear on what we were fighting for or what we were doing.
For me, I was very against the war. In fact, I was very aware of the fact that I didn't know anyone that went to war or was drafted into war. And I think that was because of the fact that I was white, upper middle class, and I was in college at the time. So the war didn't really affect me physically, but it did affect me emotionally and influentially.
Well, the saddest note for me that I can end on is it's very personal. My brother, our brother, he signed up for the Marines when he was 17, but he had to be signed for. The president, he signed an edict that said you could not fight in the war unless you were 18. So they held him in Guam, and on his 18th birthday, they shipped him into Vietnam. And the saddest part about it is a week and a half before he was due to come home, he was put on the front lines and he was killed by enemy fire. But it was just typical of what was happening in our community, the decimation of our black youth.
The Vietnam War did affect me. See, during that time, my brother was old enough to be sent off to the Vietnam War, but instead they sent him off to Korea. It was very sad knowing he wouldn't come back.